Hey.
Oh.
Welcome to the next episode of James and Jess's Half Hour.
James may have had a drink or two. Just putting it
one.
in there.
I think it's because it's Halloween.
It's Halloween. It's tomorrow's Halloween, James. Just get it right. Far out.
I think it's just because I'm a little bit scared. It's tomorrow night and the souls and the saints and the sinners are all coming out.
Oh, on that note, Jesus, James.
How's your week been, Jess?
It's been not bad, like it's not bad at all. Thank you for asking, James. You never ask me until we're on this podcast. You just don't give a damn about me, but no, I appreciate it. It's been a bit cruisy.
I do.
You'll let me speak, James? No, I'm joking.
Okay, you can have the floor for a minute or so.
Oh, thank you. It's really thoughtful.
You can introduce the topic.
We're dressed up, James. That's most important. Is that we're dressed up for Halloween. I'm Maverick.
Yeah.
I'm Maverick. And from Top Gun, back in the day, the 80s, strong, when Tom Cruise was good looking. Kind of is now, but is, back then, solid unit, one may say.
Clive let himself go, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he went down the rabbit hole, speaking of. It was a good movie, but that's what I'm wearing. And we're recording this podcast, so I'm actually, because we're out of lockdown, I'm at James's house. So I'm all dressed up for Halloween. And James is the Grim Keeper. What are you, James? You got some Voldemort-looking stuff happening at the... Oh, Voldemort. Oh, nice. All right.
Or Death Eater.
Death Eater.
Along those lines.
All right. Something with death. Nice. And this episode will be on YouTube.
It's coming for you. It's coming for me. It's coming for everybody. Death.
It's meant to be a positive podcast, James. What are you doing?
I just come out of lockdown. What do you expect?
True. We've been through the ringer, so to speak, I've had a few drinks too, so I'm probably not making any sense, but that's why this podcast is quite late at night, but it's okay. It's James and Jess's Half Hour. We do what we want. All right, public? All right, got a problem with that? No, I'm joking. But how was your week, James? Tell me. Enough about me and my Maverick uniform.
Yeah, so my week has been pretty dark, to be honest with you.
Really? Is it the weather or is it the people you speak to?
I found a little lump on my head.
Oh my gosh, he's found a lump on his head.
Yes.
Did you hit your head or what's happened, James?
No, I've got to get a scan.
That's all right. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, my doctor said 95% it's not cancer.
All right, that's positive. Nice doctor. I won't go to him for any of it. No, be fine.
Dr. Lee, he's Chinese. He's very good.
Solid.
Yeah.
Nice. So the episode where we had the infamous Jackie on, I was getting an MRI scan myself because Jess was, doing a bit for her parents because Jess still lives at home. Don't know why I'm referring to her as a third person, but I was...
You're a third person.
Thank you.
Even to yourself.
Oh, touched. I actually got an MRI scan because I was cleaning the windows and I went a bit too far and did the entire house, right? Entire house. And I actually sprained a nerve in my right. So I had to figure out which one's the left and which one's the right. The right leg. And it was like a shooting pain, like fire going up from my ankle right up to my hip. And the doctor was like, oh my gosh, if it actually goes any further than your hip, you actually have to go into hospital. And I was just like, I don't want to go with the virus, people, I'll be fine. But it was like touch and go there for a while. I got through it, made my way to James's house today, so clearly got through it. I'm actually my foot's still partially numb. And that's 2 months ago.
It's still partially numb?
It's still tiny, I would say out of 10, a 9.9%.
What did your doctor have to say about that?
Well, he was a bit worried. I remember getting on the phone with you. I'm like, I can't do this podcast. What do I do? And
Yeah.
it was just, he was just like, well, that's not very good. And he was like pressing my leg, you know, in different positions. And that doesn't sound good at all, but no. In a G-rated fashion, he was touching my leg. And I couldn't feel what he was. And then I started panicking. And when I panic, it's like World War III, like the world's going to end. So I had to just calm my farm. And then my parents were worried. It was a whole thing. And I was not in the mood. Slamming doors left, right, and center. Well, the ones I could reach because I had to hobble to the to the doors. But no, it was good. I'm alive.
You're alive. That's the most important thing.
I agree, James. It's
So
a bit scary for
Halloween,
Halloween.
let's talk about Halloween. Like your favorite movies of Halloween. Let's get into it. Like there's so many.
So many. Scream, the first Scream, because it's so ridiculous.
So good.
Oh, Edward Scissorhand is always Christmas, because there's like a small Christmas scene, so I always watch it like around Halloween, wherever I want. I do what I want. At Christmas, yeah, and Halloween.
Yeah.
I love him. He's so cute when he's looking into like Winona Ryder's eyes, and she looks like a saint back, you know, before she went down the wrong. No.
What
about you, James?
Hocus Pocus?
I haven't seen that since I was 5, so I can barely remember it.
We have it on VHS recorded from, I think Channel 7 showed it back
Bloody
in the
useless
day.
though. What are you going to watch it on, James? We're in the
VHS.
21st.
I've got it in my other room,
Oh, okay.
and my parents have saved it, and it's like my childhood movie. Me and my sister used to always watch it. You've got the legends.
Sarah Jessica Parker. She
yeah.
took a break from Sex and the City, and she was like, you know what? I'm just going to lose it, go off, you know, the unbeaten track.
You also have the iconic
Midler.
Yeah, Midler.
She was in her prime then. And then that chick I recognize from Sister Act. It's the big, you know, the opera singer looking. That's the same chick, isn't it?
I think so. I think you're on the money.
I wonder what happened to her.
I think I need to do a rendition.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I didn't expect this. Go, James.
Come, little children, I'll take you away into my arms of enchantment. Come, little children. Yeah, that's all I got.
Oh, well done, James. Wow.
I know. I think I did pretty well. I think I sound
If
exactly
Frankston
like
is doing like a
Sarah Jessica Parker. She was the one who did it. Yeah.
twist the bone. Yeah, it's actually a clip we're going to post on Jess and James's half hour on Facebook. They're kind of like, they remind me of the three witches from like Shakespeare, from like not Hamlet.
Yeah.
Hamlet? No, Macbeth.
Macbeth. Yeah.
The three witches, kind of like that vibe.
Boiled. What's the boiled?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
It just goes on. It's like a never-ending monologue. But yeah, I think that's one of my favorite monologues as well. Like it's in my top
Your
category of monologues. There's plenty there. Yeah, great movie. I was even like Casper. I love the sound. Even like Edward Scissorhand, the actual soundtrack is just. I have it on my phone, and it's never left my phone. Whether it's an MP3 player, the Discman back in the day, and now my iPhone.
Yeah.
It's just do.
Casper was so good.
Yeah, and he comes down from the staircase after he's been given like. He was given a shit gig, like just to say Cinderella had something better, but no, he was given like an hour or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Can I keep you? Can I keep you?" And then they're floating around.
Yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose.
Have you ever experienced ghosts, Jess?
I have felt a prickle here and there at the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Unrelated. I don't know why this is popping into my head, but I remember going on a ghost. Oh yeah, it's a ghost ride at Melbourne. What's that thing that happens once a year? The show.
Yeah, Melbourne show.
Yeah, the Melbourne show. And my mum took me, and that was the last time I'd been to the Melbourne show. I wonder why, but we were on this ghost ride, and this guy grabbed my neck like this. and you'll be able to see what I'm saying when you look at our podcast on YouTube. All right, grabbed me like it, and I screamed bloody murder, and
Bloody
my mum,
murder.
bloody murder, and my mum was just like, calm down. I'm like, no, I had a full-on breakdown, and the guy actually went in front of me and gave me a hug because he's like, is she okay?
That's not good if you broke down, yeah.
It's true. Not ghost related. I guess it was a ghost park sort of a thing,
So
but
I went to the notorious, well, not the notorious, the historic Arthur's, the place where they had the massacre.
Port Arthur.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, Arthur's Seat? No, that's like down the road from here. I didn't hear
Port
anything.
Arthur in Tasmania, south of Hobart, and we went on the ghost tour, and the person was leading us along, and basically what happened was we basically ended up in this small cell of what used to be like a prison down in Port Arthur, and they had the massacre obviously in there.
That was like of its time.
It's just the eerie kind of place because it's like right on the water and everything, and you got all the stories of the convicts and like the harsh treatment that they were all going through.
What was that noise?
I don't know.
The door just went.
Yeah, and then what ended up happening was we were in there, and then the tour was like, "Do you hear that?" And then everyone was like, "Oh shit! What is that? What is that?" And then guess what happened?
What happened?
The person basically screamed, the tour guide, and then it's like, "I got you."
Oh my god, that's so pathetic.
I know, and I was just.
But that
like,
would have gotten me because I
it
can't
got me
handle.
too, and I was just like, "Oh shit." And then I was just like, the whole way through, I was just like, "Oh shit." And then the worst part was when we were walking past the cafe where the whole massacre happened.
Right.
And I was just like, creepy vibes, bad energy.
Now, when I think about it, I had a similar situation. Without exaggerating, I ended up, I think I brought this up in one of the podcasts. I was at a Nazi concentration camp, as you do.
I went to one of them too, and that's a
Dachau.
bad vibe.
I actually didn't feel a thing until I remember this one moment. I'll never forget it. I went by myself to where they're actually the gas chambers and whatnot.
Yeah,
And basically, there were couples everywhere, and it was just me, doing my bit, going through how you go through this one section is where they had to take their clothes off, and then you go to the other section where they, the gas chamber, and then the next section where they store the bodies and whatnot. Yeah. And I remember I went into the gas chamber, and the lighting, because there's windows like at the top, the lighting actually went dark, so like a cloud went like in front of the sun, and then I turned around and no one to be seen was near me, and I was just like, there was a solid couple next to me about 2 seconds ago, and then they just buggered off, and I didn't know, like, you feel the energy. It was can't really put it into words, but I remember I touched the wall and I said a prayer. And I felt like that was the appropriate thing to do. And I was just like, just let them be at peace. That's all I can wish for. And then I got out of there like that. And I didn't muck around in there. But I actually took a moment by myself, and you can just feel that energy just resonating from the floor, from the walls. Like your mind is just going off.
It's actually interesting because...
But silence.
Yeah.
It's that silence.
When I went there, it was dead silent as
Which
well.
one did you go to?
Dachau.
You went to that one because it's the closest near Munich.
Yeah, it is.
Do you notice the sunflower fields as you drive? Because
I didn't pay attention to that.
There's like a field of sunflowers, and then you get to the thing, and I'm just like, it's a bit of peace before you get to the horror.
Yeah. I just remember it was so foggy. It was in November of 2011. And obviously it's their fall, so all the leaves and everything were off the trees by that time because it was November.
Sets the mood.
Yeah, so like it was like all the tree life around it was barren, so it was just like the eclipse of like a fall. So like skinny trees just hanging there
Oh,
with
God.
no leaves, and then just a relentless fog like rolling in there, and I was like imagining the people carrying the
You
stones,
imagine the whole thing.
up
Yeah.
the thing and the guards and everything, and you're just putting yourself in the perspective of a person in this concentration camp, you know, who kind of know what's going on but kind of don't know what's going on.
And
at
losing
the
the
same
family at the front, at the start. Did you see the train tracks?
Yeah. And then it's just kind of like, it's bad. Like you get there, you get a bad feeling, bad vibes.
And it gets darker and darker. Like they start off like how the museum is based is just very, oh, look at the families. This is what they look like at the start. And then you see like relics, I would say, of like glasses and shoes that would have been taken. And then you keep going and going and going. And then you get to like the shower pit. It's just like, we won't go into too much detail, but they pretty much tell the truth when you're there. There's no sugarcoating anything. They tell you what had happened in that spot.
I think like what's so interesting about it is that like it's the darkest of humanity and the stripping back of it, but also it's in essence, by experiencing that, you can't help but be overwhelmed and to
That's the point of it, to make sure
Yeah.
it doesn't happen again.
and to be like, this is the darkest of the darkest, and that, you know, like I remember leaving there and just feeling so down and like the emotion of it, but also just being like, how lucky am I to know that now we're educating people that this is the darkest of humanity and like the lowest, you know,
Point.
that, you know,
It's just-
that's
it's-
documented.
Unbelievable. You go through it and then because they built some of the rooms, they were forced to. And then you walk out of the gates. They're not the authentic gates. The actual gates were in the museum, I remember. But you actually walk through those, like out of those gates, and it's just a sense of, oh my goodness, I cannot believe.
Yeah.
That was my last day in Germany. And I had nothing to do. And I was just like, I remember my 21st, I was like, I would always love to have gone to a concentration camp. I'd like to do the main one, Auschwitz.
I've never done that either.
Poland, but where am I going to go to Poland for? Like, unless I, you know, but who knows?
Yeah, that's the future. Obviously, Corona isn't going to make that easier.
Thanks, James.
Reality
Smash
check.
my dreams.
Yeah. But it's definitely, I don't know, an experience that will stay with me. Definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes I go through the photos, because I took a lot of photos of a lot of things, of the clothes, of the books, of the rooms, of the equipment that was used by the Nazis.
Yeah. Have you
It's
ever
just-
looked at getting off topic? Have you ever been to the prison, the one that they've opened up for ghost tours?
What,
at
in
the
Melbourne?
moment? Yeah,
No.
in Victoria. What's it called?
I've heard of it though. That's like I wouldn't mind,
It's
but
like a notorious prison.
James, I'm telling you, right, I can't handle anything with ghosts. Like, even James wanted to do like a Ouija seance thing, and I was just like, I don't know what to do if it like a negative energy gets attached to me. I wouldn't know how to get out of like which priest is a genuine one to get this like bad energy. I'm like, do I contact the Pope? Like, what do I do? I wouldn't know what to
You
do.
haven't got it that I can.
I know. I wouldn't know. I would love to muck around with it, but then if it goes another way,
You definitely believe that it can go.
if it did though, I don't know what it would. Who knows what's out there?
Yeah.
If it attaches me to me, like, what do I do?
Yeah. It's like you
Start
don't know.
chugging holy water? What do you do?
No, you take kale smooth.
Oh, you kale smoothies. Not only for your weight, but for positive influences too.
Yeah. You gotta get those greens.
It's true.
Um,
I've done it once.
you've done a seance.
Yeah,
I've never done a seance.
I've done it once.
Wow.
And then I
I've
watched...
wanted to, but I've never done it.
I took it to the next level and watched. There's this scene in Vampire Diaries. They do a seance and the doors go nuts. Yeah, that really played on my mind after that. But nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened, thank goodness. But I was like, I'm never doing this again. But I full on went with my crystals and my healing crystals. I was in high school.
Yeah.
I remember.
Who were you with?
I was with the old mate.
Old mate.
Nathan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. An old mate from high school. And we, yeah.
Were you like the first hand on it or the second hand?
I was the second.
Yeah.
But apparently what he said afterwards was, and not just saying this for the podcast, but he said the actual blinds went off when I left the room. Okay. The like something just went bang, bang, bang against the lace curtains. What not happened? Outside, but on the inside.
What happened in that experience?
He didn't care. He's one of these people that just doesn't care. He was just like, yeah, whatever, all right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm never doing that again.
What happened?
Well, I didn't watch Vampire Diaries. That would have been years later.
Yeah.
I don't know why I made that correlation.
I was just like,
No, I would have watched something, but I watched something when I got home, and then that really set my mind off. And I'm like, wait, Jess, that didn't happen. Like
what
when you
message
were doing
did
it.
you get?
Nothing.
No, you didn't
nothing.
Get anything.
And then I walked out, and he's like, no, the blinds were like banging, like the lace curtains.
My sister used to have an imaginary friend called Mary.
So not Mad Mary.
Not Mad Mary, but I always thought, like, you know imaginary friends, how there's been movies about it where it's actually a ghost and the kid can see it, but
it's kind of like you know how like I've forgotten the term now, I've had a few drinks. You know when you come back up like that, you keep coming back in life, what's that called? Reincarnation. That's why they say like you remember things up until like 5 or 4. Imagine. Maybe. There's heaps of stories out there.
You know, a lot of people
and
have
people
said
forget.
That to me.
People forget.
Actually. And another person recently, I can't remember who, someone said that they were someone said that they had lived through Chernobyl and that the TV series really affected them, but I can't remember who it was.
It's interesting how different things affect us and whether it's our soul memories giving us clues. Like, it's just, who knows?
So, Halloween, what's your favorite memory of Halloween?
I went trick-or-treating once. I would have been fresh out of high school. I would have been 19, would have been a year later. And basically, I got dressed in my mum's 80s clothes. I love that jacket, like looking back. It's somewhere in my closet. I love it. But I went to Lynbrook. It would have just been beginning to be built properly. That's near where I live. And I went door to door and I full on got a lot of candy I didn't expect to actually get. But I went with my 2 childhood friends that were they were nutcases. And I was like, no, you don't know them.
Right.
No. But they were around when I was like a kid. And then all of a sudden they were around when I was 20. And then that was it. I haven't seen them since.
Okay.
But we went door to door, but they're like nutcases. They were going like in the backyard, somehow breaking through people. Like it was just got candy though. That's one of my favorite movies. And then just binge watching a lot of, Mean Girls, that scene, that, Halloween.
What's your ultimate Halloween dress up?
I'm wearing it, James. Maverick. No. I would say I would do a corpse bride.
Okay, yeah.
Or like Kim Kardashian. No, I'm joking. I would do a corpse bride.
Yeah.
Like in Mean Girls. Look at that. I'd do it like that. What about you?
I don't know. Like this year I wanted to be a nurse, but I didn't get around to it.
A nurse? I remember you telling me that. And
I played a nurse in a short film, so just attached myself to that.
Would you carry around a clipboard, or what would you do, James?
Just be a nurse.
Just be a nurse. Good.
Shrubs.
Why not?
Maybe like something on my face. Like scratches or something, yeah. Something Halloween-y.
Like a corpse bride or someone from like Downton Abbey. Like, how their clothes are like 18th century.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. We should totally do that.
Yeah. They've got a lot of like...
I just finished watching it. I absolutely loved it. And I was always against Downton Abbey and I don't like the first season. The second season I do like, but they're like full on of its time.
Getting
in detail.
Off really topic. Do you think that there's cycles in things? Like, this is a very Halloween-y kind of feel. Like, we talked about reincarnation and everything. There's actually been a couple of incidences that have happened. This is just throwing back to another podcast, My Favorite Murder, where they talked about a woman in I can't remember what century, but then approximately 70 years later, a similar event happened between a male and a female, and the whole kind of thing, like, you know, history repeating itself. Do you think that possibly karma,
bad karma, good karma,
reincarnation, like, could possibly, maybe we're living out cycles time and time again? Not saying that they're exactly the same, but
what you do, that's like that Egyptian mentality of they're all about the afterlife and getting to that other stage.
Yeah.
Maybe they had it right.
Yeah.
But they were all about perfecting that afterlife and doing what they could. You know what's actually gone into my mind? I actually watched it it was on the news, I think a couple of weeks ago, where the fight for Gettysburg in the United States, and this guy was driving late at night at about 2 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
Did you see that clip? I watched it like 10 times. I'm just like, wow. And he heard something and he was like, I'm going to get the camera out. And he went closer to there was like a wheel where the actual, fight took place, the war. And you can see in the footage, it comes like an image goes past and looks at the camera and then just goes somewhere else. And then there's something in the background. And I was just like, whoa, if that's not photoshopped, that's dope.
That's some
Can you imagine seeing
effect,
that? Yeah. Can you imagine if it was real and you're just going along going, oh, that's some person?
Have you ever had that experience where you've seen something and no one else has seen it?
I probably have, but I'm to the point where I don't freak out and I just think I'm like, oh, it's that person. I think I have been through things where I'm just like, oh, it's that. Yeah. How do I explain? Because I really sound condescending.
The only time I've ever had it.
I've never freaked out, in other words.
I have. I was 6 years old in my downstairs bedroom. That is my bedroom now.
You're going to sleep tonight, James.
I saw a woman in my bedroom, and obviously a stranger, so I'm freaking out.
What, in the dream?
No.
You were conscious?
Conscious. And then I was just like, you know how sometimes your mind can trick with the images of light and darkness in the room into thinking something's there?
But if you know, you know.
Yeah, I know. And definitely my feeling in that moment was that I was seeing a ghost. And then ever since that night, I was so freaked out that I've never seen it ever again. That's my only experience of something like that. And then my parents told me years later, there was an old lady and she died in the house.
Which room?
I don't know.
Imagine if it was your room.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyways.
Yeah.
That's interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you didn't know that before, but you knew that after.
Yeah.
You come and go, what can you do?
Whatever. And then at the same time though, I've had moments later in life
like
where
my
I
thing in Scotland though. Yeah.
It's just is it your mind playing a trick on you, or is it actually what you're seeing is real? But I would say that later years, I've always been it's my mind playing tricks on me. Yeah,
because it's kind of preserving your sanity.
Yeah.
In a way.
It's this isn't real.
That was that thing when I was in Scotland and someone had died in the house 2 centuries back, and I was just I'm just so exhausted and tired. If he wants to haunt me, clearly he's got issues. Should deal with it by now.
You want to haunt me? Haunt me.
Yeah, you want to go at me? No, I would actually faint. I think I wouldn't be able to handle it. I'm telling you right now.
Bye.
I can watch anything gruesome. I can do all of that. When it comes to ghosts, I don't know what it is. It's been sort of a thing with me ever since I was little.
No, I'm not. I'm anything scary, I get scared. I have to literally, especially if it's real stories of do you ever this is getting off topic. Obviously, it's about Halloween and all that kind of stuff. But do you ever think that maybe that someone has become so what's the word? Taken over. You know, like Amityville Horror, where they're become possessed. That it's not them anymore, and that like they've just catched on to the feeling of rage, and they're just in that moment.
Imagine if you go into the afterlife and you actually the person you were meant to, and you'd be like, oh, what was that? You know, you go to the next.
Just like, what happened?
Yeah, what happened, and then you're in that perpetual state of. I don't know. Plenty to dwell on.
Yeah.
Plenty of stories there. That's Halloween for you.
Yeah. So
I wanted to watch that Amity. They filmed in that house.
Yeah.
Over Christmas. I missed it. It was like a live recording.
Because you know that one which was on Unsolved Mysteries, where the Frenchman back in 2000, I think it was 2011 or 2012, he went into his family home, but it was his grandfather's weapon from the war, or his grandfather's gun, and he put a silencer on it and shot each family member, waited right till the end, and then shot his oldest one, buried them in the backyard, and then went and ran away, and they're trying to track him down now. They don't think he actually committed suicide. But they were saying that this happened, a similar story happened 30 years earlier in America, where the same father got a gun from the grandfather, shot his own family, and then the oldest son was the last person who picked him up after soccer.
Whoa.
And it's just like, why do these coincidences happen time and time again? Or is it just karmic cycles, or thing
wrong
where
place, wrong time, what's happening?
Is it just history repeating itself, or is it totally separate?
But what attracts, why is that person like, I don't know, spiritually, if you want to look at it, like they're at that place for a moment in their life, like, is it their fate? Who knows? Could be here all night talking about it.
Yeah,
we'll just
but that's
hope
the biggest thing about
that
Halloween
happens.
that I kind of feel it's about. It's
the
about
intrigue.
And it's also about like celebrating a bit of the horror and whatnot and making sense of it. And then we're followed in the next day, it's All Saints Day and then All Souls Day.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Yeah.
It's like life, you get the good and the bad.
And, I do think there is friendly ghosts. I do think, like...
Yeah, there's good people.
Casper.
Good karma. Yeah, Casper. Casper's real, I'm telling you right now.
There's a ghost out there who is just like, oh, I don't know where I am. What are you doing?
What are you doing? How are you doing it? I'm going to just follow you around.
It's like...
They say that about Abraham Lincoln. Did you hear about the stories when Winston Churchill stayed at the White House? Oh, there's plenty of occurrences where apparently Abraham has popped up. But Winston Churchill went for it because apparently what he did was he used to sit in the bath and smoke I think the story goes he smoked a cigar, and then he was butt naked and he was just going from his bathroom to the bedroom. And Abraham Lincoln, that was the Lincoln's room. And Abraham Lincoln was near the mantelpiece, and he was like, his hand was cocked up like on the mantelpiece, and he just looked at Winston Churchill, and Winston Churchill goes, "Oh, you've caught me at a disposition, President. Excuse me." Oh, it was something along the lines of, "Excuse me, President, you've caught me at a disposition," or something. And then he just disappeared. And then I think the funniest one was when Abraham, like the story about Abraham Lincoln, when he popped up to not Richard Nixon, some president of the time, and then they were just like, how did I go with this war, or something to do with some sort of a war in America. And then Abraham Lincoln was like, just don't go to the theater, and then he just disappeared. So it's cool to say that, if you have a sense of humor when you're dead, but because he got shot in the theater watching a play, he was just like, don't go to the theater, and then that was it.
How long have we been?
34 minutes. Can keep talking. No. All good. Good episode.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hope you enjoy it. Halloween episode. Bye.
Bye.